Hello, welcome to this video. I am Julie with Balanced Life with Julie, regenerative health practitioner, holistic nutritionist. Today, I am going to be speaking to you about peptides because they seem to be absolutely everywhere. And there's a lot of information that isn't being shared. So I thought I would do a video talking about some of the reasons that people take peptides, the side effects, and as well as what you can do instead. But before I dive into all of that, I wanted to share that my very first book, Finding Light, it is out. It is available on Amazon. And every single person who has read it tells me how much they absolutely love the book. And I've had some incredible, incredible testimonials, really, really touching emails as well from some of the people who have read this book. And so it is out, and you can get it on Amazon. Just to give you a little overview, the first half of the book is about my story and how I ended up unconsciously creating illness and dis-ease within my body. And then the second half of the book are all about the tools, the modalities, the practices that I have utilized the last several years to completely reverse chronic illness. So if you're new to the channel, if you're seeing me for the very first time, I've reversed hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's 100% holistically. I was told by many doctors that I would have to be on medication for the rest of my life, and I really wanted to heal. And so that is what I focused on doing. So I've been off all meds now for over 6 years. I feel absolutely amazing. In fact, it just keeps getting better and better the longer I maintain this lifestyle. So you can go get the book on Amazon, leave a review once you've read it, send me an email, let me know how it impacted you, because I love hearing about what really touches people about this book. So it's been in the works for a little bit. All right, so let's talk about peptides. This was one of those things where when peptides first really came out, I was like, I don't know if I need to say anything about this situation. But it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people are jumping on the peptide train. And a lot of people don't understand what peptides do. First of all, your body naturally makes its own peptides through amino acids, through what you like. If you're nourishing yourself properly and you're getting all your essential amino acids, your body has the capacity to make peptides. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So the primary reason that people resort to using peptides is most people, they want to lose weight, they want to lose fat, and seems like an easy enough fix, right? Anti-aging, longevity, muscle growth, as well as faster healing. But here's the thing, our body is a self-healing machine. It has the ability to heal itself, but we have to give it the proper nourishment. We have to take care of it. And once you know what to do, it's actually really, really easy to get your body to release weight, release inflammation, to heal, and to regenerate itself, right? That's ideally what we want to be getting to. So some of the things that I want to share with regards to peptides is that there are no long-term human clinical trials that show us what the side effects are and what the potential dangers can be of having peptides day in, day out. The other thing is, a lot of these peptides, the way that they work is, our body might release a certain peptide for a few minutes at a time, but a lot of these peptide stacks that are being advertised and promoted, like, people are taking them every single day, day after day after day after day, and we actually don't have any clinical data for that. It's really an experiment. People are experimenting on themselves, and sometimes what you see in the short term in terms of benefits, you have no idea, especially since so many of the peptides, like the peptides, are synthetic. And so that has implications for your liver, for your gut, for your kidneys. And And so those are some of the things that you want to be aware of. So there could be potential long-term side effects. There's been no safety testing on a lot of these peptides that are available, and especially for the stacks. And some of them are kind of like really underground, so they're not coming from the most legitimate sources. And and there's very little oversight right now in this space. And it really got popularized by those who are in the biohacking space. And I get it. Like, I'm also into biohacking. I use redox, I use molecular hydrogen, I use certain things. I always jokingly say that the superfoods I use is a nutrition biohack, but all of those things are naturally occurring in the body, and they're not synthetic. And so that is the differentiator, is that when we start to put synthetic compounds into our body, we don't really know what the long-term implications are. So there are side effects, there are risks that are important to be aware of. It can lead to hormone disruption. And the way that I see it is that most people already have so much dysregulation when it comes to their hormones, that adding yet another thing that could potentially lead to that is highly problematic. And then there's also metabolic concerns. There's concerns in terms of how it's going to impact immune health. And some people have reported having allergic reactions as a result of using some of these peptides. So that's also something that you want to be aware of. And it's hard to say, like, depending on the person, like one person may have incredibly mild symptoms and someone else could have a severe allergic reaction that ends up sending them to the hospital. There have been cases of that. And then there are, of course, gut issues as well, because anytime we're working with something that is synthetic, that's always going to impact the gut. And so in terms of weight loss, weight management, growing muscle growth, and some of these longevity things that people are looking for, there are things that you could be doing right now that would so benefit your overall health and well-being. The first thing that I think is so important is sleep. Sleep is what I affectionately say, that sleep is the unsung hero of health. When you're getting proper sleep, especially when you're going into a state of deep sleep, like ideally 2 to 3 hours, if possible. I use something called Sleep Nightly, and I swear I have the deepest sleeps, the craziest dreams, and I wake up feeling so fresh, so rested. So sleep is really, really important because it helps your body to naturally reduce stress. It helps your body to balance hormones. It takes out the trash from the day. It allows your muscles to repair and recover properly, and is also very, very beneficial for brain health. And unfortunately, because we live in this hyper-connected world, a lot of people are sleep deprived. And when you're not sleeping properly, your body perceives that as a state of stress. It puts your body automatically into a stress response state. So if you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to balance hormones, the first thing you want to be looking at is sleep. And some suggestions I have for you is, definitely get the Sleep Nightly, which I use. If you go to my website, there's information on the superfoods I use. You can always email me as well, or leave a comment below this video, and I can share the info for that. So, but aside from using the Sleep Nightly, I would also recommend getting off all electronic devices at least 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. So that means your phone, your laptop, television, everything. Get into a routine where you're doing like a journal in the evening. Hey, very soon there's going to be a Finding Light journal, so you can use that in the evening. But you can be journaling in the evening, meditating, spending time with your partner if you're in a relationship, hanging out with your fur babies if you're like me and you have dogs, or cats, doesn't matter. But you want to make sure that you're unplugging from the sort of the digital world and going back into the analog world. And that's really important, because the blue light from screens, even if you're like me and you wear a light blocker, blue light blockers and stuff like that, I use these. Even if you're doing that, It's still not the same. So it's really, really important to get away from screens. Managing stress levels, right? So what can you say no to? What do you have on your plate that you don't need to have on your plate? Sometimes it just no is a complete sentence, like I like to say. And sometimes it's just good to say no to things so that you can actually prioritize what is truly important for you. And like I said, sleep is also a way of managing stress. Other ways that you can manage stress is exercise, movement, yoga, meditation, time in nature. So utilize those things daily and consistently so that you are lowering your stress response to whatever is happening in your life. And that's going to help as well. Eat real food. So that means things that are not packaged and processed, sprayed with chemicals and additives and preservatives. Those are all the things that you want to be avoiding. Eat foods that don't require a nutrition label. So when you go to the grocery store, do your best to go to the organic produce section and just pick up things that as much fruits and vegetables as you can that are organic. If you live somewhere where there's a farmer's market, look for a regenerative farmer, because regenerative farming standards are actually stricter than organic standards. They're like a notch above. Unlucky where I am, I'm friends with the local regenerative farmer, and I can tell you, I buy his carrots, his beets, the sprouts, and some of the things that he's growing in the summer season. And the produce that I buy from him tastes so different from what is available in stores. And I've also used regeneratively grown superfoods now for 7 years because, again, the standards are stricter than organic. Plus, I get them shipped right to my door. So it's super, super convenient. But do your best to really get the chemicals, the additives, preservatives out of your foods, because chemical stress is a form of stress on our body. And that's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to because we don't see chemicals. So it's one of those things that's like out of sight, out of mind. But you really want to be proactive and doing your best when it comes to the nutrition piece. Really, really important to move every single day. Get outside, go in nature, go for a walk, cycle, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, but go outside, go move your body. I do find that exercising outdoors feels so much better than exercising indoors, but at the end of the day, it's more important that you move than anything else. But if you than anything else, excuse me. It's more important that you move than not move. And then if you can be somewhere in nature, that obviously is ideal as well. Gut health is really important to pay attention to. And this goes back to the nutrition piece. If you are actually eating foods that are not processed, no fast foods, processed sugary foods, if you're avoiding those foods and really sticking to lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, you're going to be able to cover off your gut health pretty easily. And of course, you want to make sure that the foods that you're putting into your body are mineral rich. And that's because when our body is in a state of stress, our body does burn through minerals and nutrients at a faster rate. And so some of the things that I like to do to make sure that I'm getting lots of minerals into my body is I usually do one superfood shake a day, usually like a double dose of it. And that has Kamut spirulina, my gut support. It has some power shake in it. What else do I put in there? Oh, barley. So, and I will also put in some Irish sea moss if I have it. And I blend that all together and just give my body lots and lots of mineral support. And for myself, I'm more conscious of that because I do spend a lot of time on technology. I have a lot of things going on, like most people do. And so I know my body's under a certain amount of stress. And so I make sure that I mitigate that stress as much as possible by focusing on my nutrition, sleep, movement, and giving my body lots of mineral support. And then last but not least is always nervous system regulation. So a lot of people are in a chronic state of stress, that fight or flight response, because there's so much going on. There's so many things that are vying for our attention. And this is why I go back to what I said earlier, which is it's okay to say no to things. we can't do, there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much you can do. And so if you feel like you're being pulled in 10 different directions, take some time, like maybe find some quiet time on a weekend and really think about, like, what are your priorities? What do you really care about? What do you really want to create in your life? And then start saying no to everything else that doesn't align with that. That could be, saying no to social invitations. If you find that you go to events or you go to things where you don't leave energy feeling energized, you feel leaving drained, then really look at, like, who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with. And this takes some trial and effort. I'll just share a quick story. Years ago, I was friends with this this woman, and I just stayed friends with her for years and years because we had known each other a long time. And yet we were on totally different trajectories with our life. I was very focused. I've been focused, and I'm still very focused on um, building my business, growing myself as an individual, like really learning and growing and learning new things and becoming the best version of myself. And she was one of those people that just did the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I noticed that as time went on, um, probably when our friendship first started, we started at the same place. We were, fresh out of school. We were just trying to, find our way in the world. But the longer we remained friends, I was always going to workshops, learning new things, exploring the world. And she wasn't doing that kind of stuff. And at the beginning, our friendship was based on both of us, complaining to each other about what wasn't working in our lives. And the longer we stayed friends, the more I started to evolve, I noticed that I didn't really enjoy spending my day talking to her for 1 hour, 2 hours, complaining about life, because I was more focused on creating my life. And I would get off the phone with her and I would just feel so drained. You ever have that where you spend time with some people and instead of feeling enlightened and enlivened, you feel completely exhausted, like you need to take a nap, or the phone rings and you hope it's not them? Well, that is a sign from your body that it's time to move on, right? And I get it. Like sometimes when we're friends with people for a long time, you don't want to end a relationship, but sometimes it's if two people are growing in different directions, one person's really like focused on evolving and becoming the best version of themselves, and someone else just wants to stay the same, then sometimes we literally just evolve past certain relationships and past certain connections. And it's okay. That's life, right? That really is life. So really audit all areas of your life, audit your relationships, audit the condition of your health. How are you feeling? What's working? What isn't working? And I know this takes like some, effort, awareness, as well as desire. But when you look at the state of your health, the state of your relationships, the state of your life, and there are things that are not resonating with you, then the next thing to really look at is like asking yourself, how ready and willing are you to make changes? And what do those changes look like? And how would you feel once those changes are implemented? Like, would it give you more energy? Would it give you more vitality, excitement, zest for life? Whatever it is, start to tap into that. And I know sometimes when we're in the midst of making changes, it can feel very stressful. I'm going through like a few changes myself over here. And what I like to remind myself is that when I'm on the other side and everything is flowing better, I'm going to feel so much better for it. So those are some of the things that you can implement. And I understand like how tempting it can be to take these quick fixes and shortcuts, like coming back to the whole conversation about peptides. I know how tempting that is, especially since it seems like everyone around you is doing it. But before you jump on the peptide train, I really encourage you to start making those diet and lifestyle changes and seeing how your body responds first, because there are implications to these shortcuts. And a lot of these people that are taking these shortcuts, I think in the long run, they are going to regret jumping on this particular trend. And if you are looking for guidance, for support, you want to know what to do and how to do it and how to implement it, I have a beautiful community called Elevate. It's for anybody who is struggling with thyroid issues and autoimmune conditions. If you're someone who, if you're really focused on getting to the root of chronic health issues and dis-ease within your body, and you want to actually support your body in healing itself, then check out the Elevate page. The information will be below this video. And if you feel like there's somebody in your circle that really could benefit from hearing the truth about peptides, please share this video. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe so that I can continue to make videos and more content. And of course, if you have any questions, if anything that I shared in this video triggered question for you, please comment below this video. I love answering questions. It's my absolute favorite. And finally, if you have not picked up my book, Finding Light, go to Amazon, pick it up, leave a review, and tell your friends about it. Subscribe to the channel, share the video, do all the things, and I will see you in the next live. Bye for now.